Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Am I not so grateful that today for once my notes are not cluttered with stuff on COVID, coronavirus pandemic, remdesivir, oxygen, favipiravir, ambulances, crematoria, graveyards. It's not as if the problem has gone away. That is still the biggest story in our minds. And I will mention that a little bit later in a slightly different context. But the reason today these notes are filled with something else is because Joe Biden has spoken out as he's completed about 100 days in office. He's given an address to the joint session of his parliamentary chambers, that is Congress and the Senate. Now this is interesting because it's his first after becoming president. Also presidency has changed from Republican to Democrat, and more importantly from over-energetic or hyperactive or hyper-talkative Trump to Sleepy Joe Biden, as he's called, which is Biden is a more settled establishment figure. So what is his speech saying? Now you can read the whole speech, you can watch the whole speech. I'll share the links with you. Also, as I speak, you will find several of the tweets from his own handle running on the screen. Now his Twitter handle is nothing by way of being fun compared to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's tweets always made news and always gave you something to smile about or laugh, even if you got angry. He was entertaining. Joe Biden is boring, boring, boring. But as we say for bankers, that boring bankers are the best, are the safest. Similarly, maybe the boring leaders are also sometimes the best, particularly if they are presidents of America, because the less talkative they are, the more work they get to do. Now, if you watch this speech and also read the tweets that Joe Biden put out, you will get a sense of what he is saying. These are very instructively well written tweets, although boring and not entertaining at all. But this speech shows us two things, and both are significant: change and continuity. You might say, why is continuity so important? That's because the change in America has been an ideological shift from the Trump right, from the Trump Republicans to the Biden left, to the Biden Democrats. So when after a change like this, the new president signals continuity, and not just continuity, but movement in the same direction with greater vigor and commitment. It is significant. And at the same time, change is always important because change makes a story. A long time back, when I was a trainee on the sports department of the Times of India, our sports editor, Mr. R. Shriman, used to tell us that when you're covering a tennis match, remember, a tennis match is covered around service breaks, because service breaks tell you that there is change. That service breaks break the deadlock, and that's when change comes. So we'll look at both. The important thing with this speech is that it's signaling continuity on foreign and strategic policy and change on political economy, economics, and domestic political social policies. So the change is more internal, of internal importance. Continuity is more of international importance. Continuity is what, for the moment, is much more important for us in India. Now, on continuity, what you're doing is picking up the baton from Donald Trump on China and running even faster. So on China, he has unhesitatingly said that in this century, 21st century, America is in competition with China and other countries to win the 21st century. And then he goes on to say that this is a competition in many areas, but there is also cooperation possible, say, in areas like climate change. That, in a way, is a shift from Trump's view, because Trump was almost a climate change denier. So let's leave that aside for the moment. Then he goes on to say on Indo-Pacific. Now, Trump started the Indo-Pacific strategy and the Quad came in, and there was a lot of apprehension then that Biden will come and disown the Quad. As he came in, very soon he and his people spoke of the Quad, and that was reassuring for other members of the Quad. That is India, Australia, Japan. After that, a Quad summit has taken place. But he is now talking about Indo-Pacific in this speech. And watch his language. He says America will maintain strong military presence in the Indo-Pacific region. And why? Read his words. I will quote his exact words for you, and then you will understand the significance. Aqalmand ko ishara kafi hota hai. You are all smarter than me. He says we will maintain our military presence, strong military presence in Indo-Pacific, just as we do for NATO in Europe. Now remember, there's been this discussion all the time, also some kind of an insinuation that the Quad is a precursor to an Asian NATO. That is something that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov also said sort of snidely on his way out of Delhi without naming the Quad, that some people talk about an Asian NATO. So he says we'll maintain our military presence just as we do for NATO in Europe, not to start a conflict but to prevent one. That is diplomatic language. So this is a statement of purpose. This is also a statement of intent, which is very important. And then he goes on to say, America won't back down from its commitment to human rights and fundamental freedoms and our alliances. Now, human rights and fundamental freedoms will worry many of America's allies, including India, because there might have been some concerns expressed in Trump's times also, but all that was done silently, behind the scenes, in whispers. In Biden's time, be prepared for a more vocal policy on these issues. So Delhi will either have to live with this or challenge this and thereby strain the larger strategic relationship, or maybe moderate its policies. What happens, I think we will know as months unfold from now onwards. Then he says, the fact that he says America will not back down from its alliances, that's very important. Again, a strategic shift that not many would have noticed right now is when he talks about Putin. He said that he's had a conversation with Putin, he's let him know, he's read the riot act, that if you interfere in American politics or election process, or if you carry out cyber mischief, there will be consequences. But at the same time, he has no intention of escalating anything. And we've seen this Ukraine, and it will suit India if Biden makes this departure from Trump's policy. If he becomes less confrontational with Russia, then it will give us a chance, us as in the rest of the world, including India, to prevent Russia from becoming totally a junior partner of China. That doesn't work for India as well, because for India, Russia is a very important partner. How important we just saw. Prime Minister Modi and Putin had a phone conversation after quite some time, because they haven't had a summit for almost a year and a half. And in that conversation, they decided to set up a 2+2 dialogue process between India and Russia as well, just as there is one between America and India. 2+2 means the defense and foreign ministers of both countries. So India has also indicated that Russia is an important relationship, and if Biden stabilizes his relationship with Russia instead of escalating it, it will be good for India. It might also help tomorrow when the question of sanctions waiver, CAATSA waiver over the S-400 missile imports comes in. And that is not a continuity from Trump, even on foreign policy. That's one small element of change, just as on climate change. Because Trump was against alliances. Trump's actually always poured scorn over his allies, Germany, France, South Korea, Japan. He was about to send bills to his European allies for providing them security. He said, pay for your security. Plus, he publicly shamed them, attacked them, embarrassed them. Biden will do no such thing. He's swearing by alliances. Trump also bound up Trans-Pacific Partnership. I suspect something like that will come back, and NATO will be strengthened as other alliances. So that's an important one. And in the same vein, he goes on to say that his America will work with its allies in blocking Iran and North Korea's nuclear programs. That is something that Trump would not have said. Now, the change he signals is more on the domestic side. Social side, for example, he talks about gun violence. He's promised a $15 an hour minimum wage, for which he wants congressional support. He wants bipartisan support for human rights, for addressing trade imbalances, policies that address trade imbalances, for boosting American funding for new technology, new science to compete with the rest of the world. He says all that. But the big change on the domestic side is he's bringing back the big government. So another $4 trillion. Remember, Mr. Modi promised us a $5 trillion economy in the course of time, right? We are about 2.75 trillion economy now. So a fair $4 trillion investment into America's infrastructure. There is another $2 trillion plan for America's families, family support, increasing the tenure of free education from 8 years to 12 years. That means 2 years of high school and 2 years of community college also. So all that has now been woven into the new reformist, welfareist, domestic economics or domestic political economy of Joe Biden. So the most important change that I see ideologically is on the economy. For example, look at his words. And this is in a tweet also. He says trickle-down economics has never worked. It's time to grow the economy from the bottom up and middle out. So he's promising more money to American families, more money to the middle class. So the idea is that people from the bottom will rise and they will buy more, they will spend more, they'll pay more taxes, and then the middle class will grow, and so the economy will grow bottom up like a plant, not trickle down like a rain shower. Now this cycle goes on. The trickle down was the idea of, say, the Thatcher-Reagan phase. That idea had a lot of juice and a lot of fuel. It's lasted out, it's played out almost for 40 years now. And maybe time has now come in global political economy to review many of these things. And many of the leaders are reviewing it. So he's now doing that as well. So he also says in the same vein that it's not right that 55 among America's biggest corporations pay no federal taxes. And he says that more and more of these corporations and 1% of the richest America has to pay taxes, plus minimum wage, plus lots of other things. He talks about the knee pressing the neck of black America and corrections there. Those are domestic things, and those are areas where a big change is signaled. So I think this is about what I will see that is significant in what he has said. The coronavirus, because I said I'll say something in the passing. I know that there's a lot of tension right now, that a lot of people registered on the CoWIN app. The app crashed a couple of times, about 1.5 crore registered yesterday, maybe more will register today. But where are the vaccines? It is true, there are no vaccines. We know this about Modi government. Modi government announces first, plans later. So be that as it may, the very fact that so many people are coming out and registering is very welcome, because this is a complete change from the past when people were afraid. So good that people are registering. Soon enough vaccines will come. I suspect 2 weeks into May, we will start getting additional supplies of vaccines. And when that comes in, please get vaccinated. I spoke with the Mumbai Municipal Commissioner today, Iqbal Chahal, and you will see that edition of Off the Cuff on Friday evening at 8 p.m. So do tune in. But he tells us that of the 1,09,000 or 8,000, I think 9,000 workers that he has in Mumbai in Municipal Corporation, of the 1,09,000 workers that he has in Mumbai Municipal Corporation, his municipal corporation, nobody who's had 15 days after the second vaccine has fallen sick yet, touch wood. He also says that there are some people who might have got infected after getting the first shot or maybe a few days after the second shot, but none of them has had illness needing hospitalization. So vaccines work, all vaccines work. Take the one that comes your way first.